Good evening, baseball fans. The Los Angeles Dodgers have defeated the Tampa Bay Rays in the 2014 World Series. And that's all the broadcast I'm going to do for this commentary because it's off season. I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, the Houston Astros with their 86 and 76 record came in second place in the American League West, 7 games behind the Oakland Athletics. So I'm not going to do that. I mean, sure, that voice is pretty damn amazing, but I mean, if I do say so myself, but not going to do that. There you see Bill Kidd, my pitching coach, retired, and my first base coach and manager contract expired. And I went out and I knew I wanted to re-sign Bo Porter. And there you see Ryan Madson is the only person on my team who retired. That's really all I was expecting to retire because I only signed him to a 1-year deal, and for some reason it seems like anybody over the age of like 32 that's in free agency is like, oh, poor free agent market. And look at this. Desmond Jennings, torn Achilles tendon, career-ending injury. That was pretty surprising when I saw that. I was just like, whoa, but shit happens, and there you see again, Byron Buxton, 82 overall, A potential, 21 years old, tore his ACL, career-ending injury. I mean, stuff happens. 2 promising outfielders, their careers are over because of injuries. But those were the only 2 super surprising ones. But anyways, my plan for this offseason was I wanted to get a solid defensive third baseman because I wanted to move Todd Frazier into left field because he could play left. And Juan Pierre, I signed him to a 2-year deal, so he's going to be coming back for this next year. But I'm not sure how long he's going to be, like, good. So I wanted to move Todd Frazier to left, and Chase Headley was in free agency. And there you see Bud Black signed for 3 years, and then Bo Porter. So Chase Headley was in free agency, but he didn't want Padres money, and he doesn't want Astros money either. And here are some re-signs. I signed Chris Carter for pretty much chump change. Same with Jared Kozar for chump change, the best pitcher on my staff. And then Dexter Fowler wanted the big bucks, and I was like, I didn't really want to let him go, so I just gave it to him. And what I did do is I did not re-sign this guy, Dustin Ackley. Because with Dustin Ackley, I wasn't comfortable with having him being paid that much money for like 5 years. It was like 5 years, $2 million per year or something, when he was the backup, and even when he did play, he didn't perform. So I wasn't comfortable with signing Dustin Ackley to that big of a contract because he's the best left fielder on my roster, and starting him in left field when I was planning to start Todd Frazier there anyways because Juan Pierre's getting old. I would still play Juan Pierre quite a bit because he's Juan Pierre and he can still add speed even though he's like 38 and somehow he's still fast. But I didn't want to re-sign Dustin Ackley because even when he did play, like I said, he wasn't the greatest, so I didn't really want to take any chances on that, so I kind of just let him walk, and then I let Johan Santana walk too. So those were the 2 only guys who I let walk. Everyone else I re-signed. Top prospects I re-signed. Everybody else on the team I re-signed, but Johan Santana, Dustin Ackley, they went bye-bye. And then the Rule 5 draft came up, and there was this guy, Eddie Butler, who was available. He was A potential. I believe he was 69 overall, it said. And I ended up drafting him in the Rule 5 draft, so he's going to stay on my 25-man roster, and I was okay with that because he's got A potential. I was going to put him as my long reliever, and bullpen was something that I wanted to change up a bit anyways because the bullpen was something that we struggled with last year. And then there you see that Ryan Rayburn, I ended up sending him down to the minors, and he ended up getting claimed off waivers by the Indians because Ryan Rayburn, he kind of decreased a lot, like he degressed when the offseason hit, and he didn't really perform for me like I wanted him to, and I wasn't really comfortable with having him on the Major League squad, so I sent him down to AAA knowing that he was going to go to waivers, and also knowing that someone was going to pick him up because I didn't want him on the roster. That's basically what I did with him. And like I said before, we're the Houston Astros. This isn't the New York Yankees type offseason where it's basically just, we have boatloads of money, so here's all your cash. Take all this money, let's overpay 35-year-old aging stars, let's do this, let's do that, here's your money. That's not what I can do because I'm the Houston Astros. So I didn't really have too many big moves in this offseason, but one of the bigger moves I did was this trade right here. As you can see right there, it is shortstop Stephen Drew, who I signed for 2 years at the beginning of last season, and I knew my starting shortstop was going to be Carlos Correa this year because I signed him to I think it was like a 2 or 3 year deal for like $1 million per year, and he's an A potential, and he's already like a 76 overall, and he's only like 20 years old. So I knew he was our shortstop of the future, and I knew I wanted him to start this year. So Steven Drew was just kind of he was just gonna ride the pine, really, anyways. So what I wanted to do was, if I'm gonna have a shortstop who's going to ride the pine, let's trade for a guy in the infield, because Steven Drew can only play shortstop. He can't play second, he can't play third, he can't play first, he can't play anywhere else. So he can only play shortstop. So what I did was I looked around for somebody, and I saw Hiroki Nakajima, who was on the A's last year, got signed by the Brewers. So I went to the Brewers roster, and I saw they have Hiroki Nakajima, put him in the trade, put K-Rod in the trade, because I wanted to improve my bullpen, like I said, and that was a good proposal of them. And I also put one of their prospects, left fielder Mitch Haniger, who is a B potential, and he's already got like 60 contact. He's a solid player already, but I want to wait for him to improve a little bit more, or wait until I need somebody in the majors for like an outfielder to call him up. Maybe like halfway through the season he'll end up getting called up. And I also added Rio Ruiz, a 66 overall B potential third baseman, into the deal, because he's 66 overall with B potential. I mean, he could get a little better. He could get in like the low mid-70s, but, well, I didn't really want to have him on the... Well, I wouldn't mind having him on the roster, but I wanted to throw somebody in there to make this deal happen, because I wanted this deal, because Hiroki Nakajima is a solid third baseman. He's good at the plate. He can play short as well. So what my plan was is Hiroki Nakajima is going to start the season off starting at shortstop, because he's like 5'11", like 180 something or 170 something, and Carlos Correa is the shortstop, who's like 6'4", like 215. So he's going to play third, because he can play third. Nakajima is going to play shortstop, and Todd Frazier is going to start in left field, while Pierre is basically going to platoon whenever an outfielder needs to be subbed out for, except for right field, because, well, I don't want his arm in right field. And then once that trade went through, I was down a third baseman. It was like a third baseman prospect, and I looked in free agency just to see who was there now that everybody pretty much signed who they wanted. And I looked down a little bit, and I found this guy right here. B potential, 68 overall, 25 years old. He can play third and first, and his name is Patrick Kivlahan. I'm pretty sure I'm pronouncing that correctly. Kivlahan or Kivlahan. He's only 25 years old. I mean, it's not the youngest, not the oldest, but that's still, he's pretty young. He'll play AAA. He was an all-star in the minors last year, so that's an upside. And he's also got some decent contact. He's got some decent power, and he's got great durability. I mean, he's not going to get injured. He's got some decent speed for a third baseman, first base player. And he's got some, his fielding it could be better, but I'm not going to complain. He's a minor league player, but he's eventually, if he improves a bit more, he's going to come up to the bigs maybe someday. He's like maybe a platoon third and first guy. So in order to take the place in the organization of Rio Ruiz, I signed this Kivlahan guy, or Kivlahan. If anybody knows how to pronounce this guy's name, let me know in the comments down below. And then the final move I made in the offseason. This is the last thing I'm going to show you guys, because this was really the only thing I did in the offseason. I'm sorry if this isn't exactly the most in-depth offseason video ever, because I didn't really go too in-depth into it. I didn't make too many moves. I just pretty much re-signed everybody, let Johan Santana and Ackley walk, and I signed a couple guys and made one trade. It's not the Yankees offseason where it's like, oh, we signed Curtis Granderson, we signed Chase Headley, and we signed the top pitching prospect. No, that's not what we do here in Houston, because we can't do that. So anyways, this offseason move is I signed Rafael Ortega, center fielder, for 2 years and $104 million over 2 years. So it's like $500K over 2 years, or $500K per year. And if you aren't sure who Rafael Ortega is, I believe he's like a 24-year-old outfielder. I know he's an outfielder, obviously, but I think he's like 24, and he's got like 97 speed. He's got some decent fielding. I'm pretty sure he's actually pretty solid in the field, but he's got like 97 speed. He's basically a younger Juan Pierre. He just doesn't have as high of a contact as Juan Pierre, and he has a stronger arm than Juan Pierre. And the thing about Ortega is he's got like a 74 overall. He's only got a C potential, so he's not going to get really any better, but he's definitely an upgrade once Juan Pierre retires, which is going to be after this year, because I signed him to a 2-year deal last year. so this is going to be his last season because I don't see him coming back when he's like 40 years old. I mean, he could be like the next Julio Franco, you never know, he's still fast, but I don't think the game is going to allow him to do that. So I signed Rafael Ortega, who's going to start the year in the big league club. We'll see how he plays, we'll see if we need to platoon him because, like I said, Pierre is most likely going to platoon left and center since Frazier's going to start the year as the starting left fielder, see how that goes. Maybe he might move back to third depending on if Nakajima can hold his own as a starter. But Ortega is most likely going to platoon the entire outfield, as like maybe someday I need like 2 outfielders to be platooned, so maybe like Ortega will play right and center field will be Pierre, or left field will be Pierre, something like that. So yeah, that pretty much does it for the off-season video. Like I said, this isn't any type of like New York Yankees postseason where it's just basically here, take my money. We can't do that. This is more of the Oakland Athletics Moneyball type postseason. So that's what we're doing. We sign guys who can, I believe, can have a vital part to the team this year, and hopefully we can get farther than the ALCS. Hopefully we can get to the World Series this year. That's the ultimate goal, because you want to improve from the season before, and well, that's the only way we can improve, is if we go to the World Series. But anyways, next time you guys see this is episode 20. Episode 21 of the Astros franchise will be opening day 2015 against the Oakland Athletics.